Welcome back, guys. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I had a really good weekend. I had a little girls trip. I am very tired and I almost canceled this Tuesday, but I said nope, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna show up today. Today we're talking about postpartum and motherhood. Oh, can we, I'm wearing my mom bun because listen, this is what realistically I have a bun up my hair up. Anyways, a disclosure really quick. I am not a medical professional in any way, shape, or form. I am not a psychologist. This is not medical advice for you. This is just something that I went through that I want to share. And also things that have helped me along the way. It's very, very sensitive and very emotional, so hopefully I can keep it together. But if I don't, you guys know, if you've been through this, that it's very hard to keep your composure. Postpartum, I always cry. Postpartum depression is something that I feel like is not really talked about enough. And when I went through it, I kind of went through it in silence. Pretty much the first 2-3 years of my firstborn's life. Postpartum is a depression that occurs after childbirth. Those who develop postpartum depression are at a greater risk of developing major depression later on in life. It is treatable by medical professionals. Sometimes may resolve within months and requires a medical diagnosis. And I first, had when I had my firstborn, I was somewhat young, and I was the only one at the time of my friends that really had babies, and so I was just figuring it out as I went. I had a pretty good pregnancy. I didn't really take care of myself like I should have, like I did in my second pregnancy. I gained a lot of weight. And then towards the end, I was very tired. My hormones were all over the place, just like normal. And but after the baby came, I just remember them taking him away, and I didn't even know him really, and I just started crying. Whoo! I didn't think I was gonna cry during this. I remember I was just so scared to leave him and just give him to strangers when I had just carried him for 9 months. And I just started crying, and that's when I started noticing not crying is not normal, but I just, I hadn't seen my family. Most of my family lives far away, and I remember I was just so happy. But then when they left, I started, I had to actually stay at the hospital for a week because I started having panic attacks, and my blood pressure was going really high. I had preeclampsia. I had gestational hypertension, and my blood pressure was going up. I felt like I was gonna freaking pass out, and I just remember just crying all the time and thinking about, oh my god, I'm never gonna see you guys again. Those are thoughts that were in my mind. And I remember I just was crying when I would see my aunt or my mom or my dad or something like that. And I just couldn't stop crying. I couldn't. I feel when you get pregnant and you're excited, and you're just oh my gosh, I can't wait for them to come, and you're in a rush for them to come. You want to know what the baby's gonna be like. You're excited. You want to buy all these things for them, and everybody's excited for you. And even though it is a beautiful experience, along with birth comes your hormones and postpartum depression. I didn't really know too much about postpartum depression I just thought like, it's like, oh, you wanna, you know, harm your babies. I mean, that's what I thought. I just remember like, you know, nobody around me really, you know, explaining it, you know, it to me. And, you know, nobody, like I said, nobody around me really had babies like that at the time that I was close to. And I didn't really have, you know, a lot of friends. And, you know, me and my husband were both first-time parents. You know, we're both worried, both tired. It's a new situation. We ended up moving because, you know, my husband lost his job right when we had our firstborn. And it was just like a lot of emotions, and I, not knowing, I had all my, you know, ups and downs, highs and lows. We ended up moving with family, even though I love them. Another disclaimer, if you're watching this and you're my family, don't take it personal. This is just my story, how I felt. You know, and I just was in an environment where it was very toxic and very negative. And as a first-time mom, it's like, you know, sometimes situations happen, life happens, your finances, you know, start tumbling, and, you know, it's like I really had to, you know, over time learn like your situation's not gonna last forever. I just remember being very super protective, like overly protective of my son, and, you know, I never wanted anybody to watch him. And so it just started to create this like really bad cycle in the end. I developed really extreme anxiety, severe depression, you know, severe, like I just didn't want to be around certain people, very, very angry, very bitter. You know, I felt like I didn't really have support. I didn't really have, you know, friends, because I moved somewhere where I didn't know anyone, you know, and I felt like even sometimes, even family, you know, on both of our, you know, families, you know, they don't say it on purpose to be hurtful, but like people would just say really, really rude and mean, unnecessary things to first-time parents. And I didn't talk about it to anybody. I just, you know, I just swept it under the rug. And like one of our mentors always says, feelings alive never die. And it is true. You have to deal with your problems, because even as much as you want to run away from your problems, they're always going to be there. When you pick it up, it's right there waiting for you to deal with it. I also was breastfeeding my son, so I feel like a lot of times, I don't know the chemistry with breastfeeding, but I felt like when you're breastfeeding, like you get like this like chemical on you that gets you like really hyper, very like energized. And it also created a beautiful bond with my son, which made me even more protective. And I don't regret it, but I was just so like, oh my God, like I can't give him formula. Like, and now what I would tell myself, my then first-time mom self, is like, it's okay if he has formula. If you're able to breastfeed, that's the best thing that you do. But if you choose not to a few times, or you just don't want to, you're not a bad mom. It's just, you know, it's like you're exhausting yourself. I felt burnt out. I felt very fearful. Like I had these crazy thoughts. Like I'd be walking somewhere and I'm like, oh my God, if I slip and I fall with the baby, or, you know, if I'm driving and I drive over a bridge, like, oh my God, how are we gonna get out? Like I had these just crazy over the top ideas. And then this video could go long, but I'm just sharing with you what I went through. Not to mention my body changed. Like I had already gained weight like 2-3 years prior to having my son, but I had gained a lot of weight. So I had you know, my body just didn't feel the same. I didn't feel like myself. I felt very insecure. Also when you're with your, you know, your babies the first few months, if you're lucky, if you're blessed enough, you're able to like stay home. It is a blessing. Don't get me wrong. But the way that I was at home, it was just not healthy. My husband, who, oh my God, he is like the hardest worker. Like, he would work anywhere, even if, he couldn't get a job, he would find any, job sweeping or mopping. Like, that's just the type of person he is. Like, and I'm so thankful for that. We just didn't have a lot of help, so I ended up being a stay-at-home mom. And he had to travel on the road. So I also felt lonely. I felt sad that he was away, and he was my BFF, and I felt like he was missing out. I felt guilty that he was working so hard and I couldn't help. It really sucked. And even though we're far from that, it's just like those moments, you always think about them sometimes, and it's deep down inside. And then if you do go to work, you feel mom guilt, and then you feel worried, like, oh my God, if this person's watching him, are they gonna, I don't know, you just have these crazy thoughts, something's gonna happen to them. So yeah, those are all things: anxiety, depression, mood swing, uncomfortable in your own skin. I hated my body for so long. I felt, like I couldn't wear certain things, and I would hide my body as much as I could. I would wear like sweats all the time. I just let myself go, and it's very humbling because sometimes, you look back at your thoughts before you had kids and you're like, oh my gosh, like, oh, how can people let themselves go? Well, let me just tell you. But so, it was a very crazy small period in my life. And then, I had a second child, and that was another, different phase, but it was a different experience. I experienced, a sick child, and I had to experience, being away from my oldest, and trusting other people to watch him, and feeling guilty because I couldn't be there for both of my kids, and scared that somebody would harm them, or scared that, somebody wouldn't understand what my oldest was going through, and scared that people were judging me. I'm not a person that I really care what people think, but ultimately we all care a little bit. And, so I just want to tell you, if you're watching this video, like, and you're a mom, even if you don't have kids, and you adopt, or, you're a caregiver for somebody else's child, or you're a mom in waiting, like, these hard times are not forever. These times are building our compassion for other people, other moms. This is building our strength in a way that we never would have had we gone through these things. And God knows what we can handle. And that cliche saying, like, He'll never give us anything that we can handle, is true. It's like, sometimes I have cried on this very floor of my kitchen because I just felt like I just couldn't take certain days. I felt like I wasn't gonna get through the week or the hour. I felt like so alone, and I felt so isolated, and I felt like my dreams were on the back burner. My husband's dreams were on the back burner, and it's all this chaos going on inside of our head. And I would just cry out to God, and I'm like, God, please, this can't be it. This can't be what you called me to do. This can't feel like this, But something that helped me is really getting into the Word, as hard as it is. And sometimes we don't have time, to even take a shower brush our teeth until the end of the day. But if you can, you know, spend time with God, even if it's only a few minutes. I know a lot of people say things that you're like, oh my gosh, if I only spend 15 minutes, 10 minutes with God, like it's not going to be enough. No, God knows that we have a lot going on. Some of us, like I said in my last video, like we have battles that no one would ever know about. I'm a person, I don't like to like put it out there on blast, like what I'm going through all the time. I don't feel like everybody needs to know. There's times where God wants you to share certain things, but sometimes it's like we don't need to keep complaining and just being negative all the time. But I just want to tell you, like, it's gonna be all right. It's not gonna last forever. It will get better. You know, I remember the doctors and, you know, on Valentine's appointments, you know, they saw that I was like just struggling with both of my kids, and they were like, it's not gonna last forever. It will get better. It will be okay. And sometimes you have to close your eyes and tell yourself, like, when you start feeling anxiety, like just say, like, just look at the situation, like step outside of the situation and say, it's gonna be okay. It's not that serious. I have to tell myself physically it's not that serious, and just breathe, and you know, just take a moment if you have to. Something somebody recently told me, you know, because I felt like frustrated, I felt like I'm cleaning all the time. I'm literally wasting every single day cleaning, and sometimes my house don't even look like anybody touched it, you know, touched it to clean it, not touch it like it looked crazy sometimes. I had to learn, like, a house, or she told me a house that is lived in is gonna look lived in. So don't sweat the small stuff. One day our kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna have their own lives, and they're gonna get married and they're gonna have their own kids, and you're not gonna be able to see them. It's like, enjoy them now. That's what I have to remind myself when I want a few moments of peace and quiet, and I don't want somebody pulling on my shirt talking about some mommy, 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 mommy. You know, I feel like I can't think, you know, or I can't have a moment to myself. One day I'm gonna be the one pulling on his, you know, oh, this makes me cry. I'm such a crybaby. One day we're gonna be the ones pulling for our kids' attention. So just, you know, like, enjoy the time we have right now with them. Sometimes our house is gonna look a mess, as clean as we want to be. Everything's we're gonna step over toys. Toys are gonna take over your house, and that's okay. But there's a few things that helped me that I feel like it will help anyone. Number one is go outside. There was times when my first, that I never went outside. Like, it was so unhealthy. I was so worn out, and I stayed inside as much as I could. So number one, get some sun, go on walks, and go outside. That's very important. The sun, the vitamins, the fresh air, you need it. Number two, read, even if it's a scripture a day. Watch yourself with the word. I mean, get a devotional. Make it as plain and simple as you can. You need a word a day, like an apple a day, but a word a day. Number three, find somebody who you trust, who is wiser than you, not one of your friends that's gonna, you know, be a yes man friend, or somebody who's gonna get you into trouble. But you need somebody who you know, who has been through stuff, and they're not gonna judge you. I have somebody that even if I don't talk to them every day, I know that I could tell her, like, I am losing my mind. I've had these thoughts, and, you know, and she'll tell me, like, does this align with the word of God? What God would say to you. And then they would love on you. They would correct you, and they would have you refocus. But that you don't want somebody who's going to distract you or lead you in the wrong direction. And number four is take care of yourself. That's why I always tell everybody, like, it is not easy. Trust me, it took me a long time to bounce back, like a very, 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 very long time. But just even brushing your hair. I've had days where my hair was in knots at the end, and I would just keep putting my hair up, and it would just, and then days where I would, like, even though I'm a cosmetologist, I would literally just snip it off, and like, I just didn't care. Because I'm, only because I'm very crafty with making my hair look good. It doesn't matter if there's uneven pieces. Put some makeup on, even if it's a little, foundation and some lipstick or lip gloss and some lashes. Some mascara. Like, take care of yourself. Go, go on a walk, every day. I try to do that, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. But just take care of ourselves, drink a lot of water, even though I love coffee, there's days where I give myself a break with the caffeine. I definitely can't drink Red Bull because I just don't feel good anymore. Eat your greens, eat your veggies, eat your fruits, because when you feel good, then everybody else around you will be good. And also, you don't want your body to break down, because some of us, our kids, like, I am my soul, like, my husband's, the provider, he's working, but I'm the one who holds down the fort. And if I'm, falling down and not taking care of myself, then it is not going to help anybody around me. 5 is rest. Even if you have to put your kids down and the dishes are piling up, there's crumbs all over the floor because your toddler just has to walk around eating everywhere. If you have to go to sleep early like that, then there's some days where that is okay. I don't like to go to sleep when my house is a mess. It drives me crazy, and I feel like it kind of goes to the next day, and I wake up and my house is a mess, and that's like a messy bed is a messy head. I strongly believe that. But there are some days where it is not worth it to trouble your mind over some socks and underwear on the floor, and the mess is the house. The house is a mess. It's not worth your mental sanity. Sometimes you just have to say it's okay. And the last one I would say is you need community. I was very, very blessed to stumble along, a few friends, and we might not be close, and some of us, we don't really even talk like that anymore because just life happens. But I've had friends who were there for me in some of the most dark times, who, came over just so that I can take a nap. I have friends now who, they realize that me and my husband never even went out on a date, and they watch my kids for me. And it's like, when I stepped away, even though it was very, very hard for me to let go, I needed those breaks because it was refreshing for me, and it was refreshing for my marriage, and I felt like a whole new person. If you don't have those kind of friends, pray for them. I promise you, those friends will come along. And being a mother is a blessing. Like, as much as, it seems like we might be complaining sometimes, just be thankful, because there's some people who wish they had what you had, and the grass is not always greener on the other side. I know that. But everybody appreciate the season that you're in, because you don't know what somebody else is going through. At the end of the day, we could post happy pictures and we could seem like we're smiling. I thought I was gonna be like, I was gonna be baking all the time and, putting little hearts in my, in my son's sandwiches. But some days I was just trying to survive. And it took, like I said, it took me a while to bounce back, and I feel somewhat like myself. But now I'm a different person. I'm a different woman. I just want to say, like, it's gonna be all right, but you're not alone. Don't isolate yourself. Don't feel like you're the only one going through this. Like, really pray about it. Like, God, give me a community of women who will hold my hand through hard times, speak some life and some sense into me when I feel like I'm going crazy. And Lord, just heal my thoughts, heal my mind, heal my body, give me strength, give me focus. And even if you have dreams and you feel like it's on the back burner, like, just give yourself time. Enjoy the time that you have with your kids. Some people, like I said, have to go to work. Some of us have had no choice but to stay home. And anybody who says anything negative about you or your parenting, listen, sometimes you have to say no. And then sometimes you just have to ignore people. But you're doing the best that you can. That's all that matters. Nobody's taking care of your kids. Nobody knows what's going on when you close that door. Nobody knows when you cry yourself to sleep because you just feel like a mess. But you got this. I always say this. You got this. If you don't have any friends, I'll be your friend online. Your YouTube girl, okay? I love you guys. If you felt like you learned something, or you felt, watching this video helped you, or you want to talk more about motherhood, let me know in the comments below. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, and we gotta get through this. I love you guys. Oh, can we just look at my manicured nails? Finally, I got my nails done.